Thierry Henry from 2002 to 2004, when I went to play against him, I was only thinking about him.
We're in possession with Henry. Oh, whoa, what a goal! Thierry Henry!
Certainly one of the best for sure.
Henry! Breathtaking. Sheer class.
2003, he had 32 goals, 28 assists that season. Nedved, who won it, had 14 goals and 17 assists.
But look, you can't debate opinions. When journalists are involved and vote, they vote whatever they want. You can't debate opinions.
In the pantheon of football greatness, there exists an exclusive club of players who have lifted the Ballon d'Or, the most prestigious individual award in sport. Messi, Ronaldo, Cruyff, Platini, Zidane, Kaká, and other legends whose brilliance was officially recognized with football's golden seal of approval. But then there's Thierry Henry, a man who redefined what it meant to be a forward, a player who combined pace, power, technique, and vision in a way the Premier League had never seen before.
Who would you say is the hardest to play against on this board?
Well, I trained against him every day, Thierry Henry.
175 goals as well.
He was just, honestly, and in 2003, 2004, he just became like an animal on the pitch, so driven. I mean, Robbie Fowler, you're right, probably the best finisher I've ever seen.
A player who, at his peak, was simply unstoppable. Yet somehow, the Ballon d'Or always eluded him. Today, we're diving into one of football's greatest injustices. How the most elegant destroyer in the game's history was repeatedly denied the recognition that he deserved. This is the story of Thierry Henry, the greatest footballer to never win the Ballon d'Or. Before we examine the Ballon d'Or robberies, we need to understand just how special Henry was. His journey to greatness wasn't straightforward, and that makes his peak years even more remarkable. Born in a tough part of France, Henry's extraordinary talent was evident from an early age. By 13, he joined the Monaco Academy under the watchful eye of a young Arsene Wenger. But here's the first surprising fact about Henry. He didn't start off as a striker. He stated, "I grew up playing on the wing. I never thought I'd be a striker. I wanted to be like George Weah, coming in off the left, dribbling past everyone and scoring the goal." This early development as a winger would later become crucial to Henry's unique playing style. At Monaco, he broke into the first team at just 17 years old, and then he helped them reach the Champions League semi-finals in 1998. That same year, he was part of France's World Cup winning squad, though his contribution was limited to just 3 appearances. Then came the first major setback, a disastrous move to Juventus in 1999. This saw Henry playing out of position and struggling for form. And according to Transfermarkt, he scored just 3 goals in 19 appearances for the Italian Giants, numbers that gave no indication of what was to come. When Arsene Wenger signed him for Arsenal in August of 1999 for just £11 million, many English journalists questioned the move. The Daily Mirror famously ran with the headline, "Arsenal's gamble on Wenger's friend," suggesting the only reason for the signing was the previous connection between the player and the manager. 8 games without a goal at the start of his Arsenal career only intensified the skepticism, but Wenger saw something that others didn't. "I knew that Thierry Henry was special because he had something that most forwards don't. He could create as well as score." This is something that Wenger later explained. "I just needed to convince him that he was a striker, not a winger." What followed was one of the most spectacular transformations in football history. Once Henry found his feet, the Premier League had never seen anything like him. If the Ballon d'Or truly rewards the best player in the world, then Henry's statistics during his peak years make his omission from the winners list all the more baffling. let's look at the cold hard facts. During his 8 seasons at Arsenal, Henry scored 226 goals and provided 92 assists in 369 appearances. That's a direct goal contribution every 1.16 games, a ratio that rivals even Messi and Ronaldo in their prime. His peak came between 2001 and 2006, a 5-year stretch of dominance that few players in history have ever matched. During this period, he scored 172 goals and provided 74 assists in 254 appearances for Arsenal. That's a goal contribution every 1.03 games. In the 2002-03 season alone, Henry scored 32 goals and provided 28 assists in all competitions, becoming the first player in Premier League history to record 20 plus in both categories in a single season, a record that stood until Mohamed Salah matched it 15 years later. The 2003-04 campaign saw Henry lead Arsenal's Invincibles to an unbeaten Premier League campaign, scoring 30 goals and providing 9 assists in the league alone. His total for that season, across all competitions, 39 goals and 15 assists in 51 games. As Patrick Vieira, his captain at Arsenal, put it, Thierry wasn't just scoring goals, he was creating them, he was leading the team, he was doing everything. I've never seen a more complete forward. Even his rivals couldn't help but admire him. Manager of Manchester United, Sir Alex Ferguson, once said, Henry is the perfect player. He's the best player in the Premier League by far. He's got pace, he's got skill, he's got movement, finishing, he's got everything. Yet, somehow, when it came time to hand out football's most prestigious individual award, Henry was always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Henry's first real shot at the Ballon d'Or came in 2001. He had just completed a season where he scored 22 goals and provided 13 assists in all competitions for Arsenal, helping them reach the FA Cup final and finish second in the Premier League. But it was his performance for France that should have sealed the deal. Henry was instrumental in France winning both the 2000 European Championship and the 2001 Confederations Cup, scoring crucial goals in both tournaments. When the Ballon d'Or votes were tallied, Henry finished a distant 9th. The winner was Michael Owen, who had helped Liverpool to a cup treble, the UEFA Cup, FA Cup, and League Cup, but scored fewer goals than Henry in all competitions. As a French football journalist, Philippe Auclair, later wrote, "It was the first sign that Henry's style, so fluent, so elegant, might actually work against him in the Ballon d'Or's voting. He made everything look too easy." Owen himself seemed surprised by his victory, later admitting there were a lot of great players around at that time. Thierry Henry was one who could easily have won it, but this was just the beginning of Henry's Ballon d'Or heartbreak. If 2001 was questionable, 2003 was downright scandalous. Henry was at the absolute peak of his powers, having just completed that historic season with 32 goals and 28 assists in all competitions. He had won the Premier League Golden Boot, being named the PFA Player of the Year, and led Arsenal to a second-place finish in the league and an FA Cup victory. His combination of scoring and creating was unprecedented in English football. Yet, when the Ballon d'Or results were announced, Henry finished second, behind Pavel Nedved of Juventus. While Nedved was undoubtedly a brilliant midfielder who helped Juventus reach the Champions League final, his numbers just paled in comparison to Henry's. He got 9 goals and 7 assists in all competitions. To make matters even worse, the voting wasn't even close. Nedved received 190 points and Henry received 128, suggesting that this wasn't a narrow decision, but a clear preference amongst voters. As his teammate Robert Pires said, "It was incomprehensible. Thierry was playing football from another planet. Everyone in England knew that he was the best player in the world. Everyone except the Ballon d'Or voters, apparently." The snub hit Henry pretty hard. In a rare moment of public frustration, he told a local magazine, "I'm not saying that I should have won it, but when you look at the statistics and what I did that year, it makes you wonder what more I could have done." If there was ever a year where Henry seemed almost certain to win the Ballon d'Or, it was in 2004. He had just led Arsenal to an unbeaten Premier League season, something never achieved before or since in the modern era. His 39 goals and 15 assists across all competitions had been instrumental in this historic achievement in the Premier League. The Premier League Golden Boot, the PFA Player of the Year, FWA Footballer of the Year. Henry swept all the domestic awards. Surely, this time, the Ballon d'Or would follow, right? Instead, the award went to Andrei Shevchenko, who scored 24 goals as AC Milan won the Serie A, which is a great season certainly, but not a historic one like Henry's. Once again, the voting wasn't even close. Shevchenko received 175 points to Henry's 120. As Arsene Wenger, usually diplomatic, and he couldn't hide his frustrations, he stated, "I don't want to take anything away from Shevchenko, who is a great player, but Thierry had just done something that had never been done before. He was the best player in a team that didn't lose a single league game. What more could he have done?" The answer, it seemed, was the Champions League. Arsenal had been eliminated in the quarterfinals, while Milan had reached the last 8. In an era when European success was becoming increasingly important to Ballon d'Or voters, this may have been the deciding factor. Dennis Bergkamp, Henry's strike partner at Arsenal, had a different theory. He stated, "Thierry made everything look so easy. So easy that people didn't appreciate how difficult it actually was. When he scored, it looked like the most natural thing in the world. But that's because he was a genius." By 2006, Henry had one last opportunity to claim the prize that had eluded him for so long. He had just completed another stellar season, scoring 33 goals and providing 9 assists as Arsenal reached their first ever Champions League final. Though they ultimately lost 2-1 to Barcelona, Henry had carried the team through the knockout stages, scoring crucial goals against Real Madrid, Juventus, and Villarreal. Then came the 2006 World Cup. Henry was instrumental in France's run to the final, scoring the winner against Brazil in the quarterfinals, a match widely regarded as one of the tournament's best performances. When the Ballon d'Or votes were counted, Henry finished third, behind Fabio Cannavaro and Gianluigi Buffon, the defensive stalwarts of Italy's World Cup winning team. While few could argue with Cannavaro's victory, he captained Italy to World Club glory after all, and he was at Real Madrid to win the La Liga title. The margin, once again, was substantial. Cannavaro received 173 points, and Henry only received 121. Zinedine Zidane, Henry's France teammate, couldn't hide his disappointment. For me, Thierry was the best player in the world that year. What he did for Arsenal and France was exceptional. Sometimes I think we don't appreciate him enough in France. This would be Henry's last realistic shot at the Ballon d'Or trophy. The following year, he moved to Barcelona where, though he was still pretty brilliant, he would play a supporting role to the emerging Lionel Messi. So the question is, why did Henry not win the Ballon d'Or? Why did the Ballon d'Or consistently elude Thierry Henry? Well, there are several theories. Number one, the timing. Henry was always at his peak for so many years, but then there was always players just popping up, like Shevchenko having a brilliant season, Kaká coming along and having a brilliant season, Michael Owen having a brilliant season, and then Paulo Nedved. That is the first. Then there's second, that is the Champions League factor. During this period, the importance of the European success in the Ballon d'Or voting was growing. Despite reaching the final in 2006, Henry was never able to win the Champions League with Arsenal. He only did that when he later won it with Barcelona a few years later. And this was something that could have actually counted against him. And then third, and perhaps the most significant one, but it's often one that is not talked about enough. There is something that is called the elegance penalty. And Henry was the master at this. Henry made the extraordinary look ordinary. His goals, well, they weren't just goals. They were works of art.
Chip, good skill here from Henry. Oh, outstanding, outstanding. Thierry Henry has given them genuine hope.
Full this season. There's Henry! Arsenal have won it! Big two aren't there. Henry does, and this time he did it towards the top corner.
But with that level of ease, which he just played football and scored goals, it made everything look so easy. And this led voters to undervalue his achievements. As Thierry Henry himself actually reflected years later, maybe I should have shouted more when I scored a goal, or I should have rolled around on the ground when I was fouled. But that just wasn't me. I wanted to play the game a certain way. This sentiment was echoed by Pep Guardiola, who coached Henry at Barcelona. Thierry was so elegant that sometimes people didn't realize how effective he actually was. The statistics don't lie. He was one of the greatest forwards in football history. The numbers certainly support this view. Henry finished his career with 360 goals and 163 assists in 789 appearances at club level. Add in his 51 goals for France, and you have a player whose contribution to the game is almost unparalleled. His trophy cabinet isn't exactly empty either. 2 Premier League titles, 3 FA Cups, 2 La Liga titles, 1 Champions League, and 1 World Cup, and let's not forget 1 European Championship. The only thing missing is that incredible Ballon d'Or trophy. While the Ballon d'Or may have eluded him, Henry's greatness has been recognized in other ways. In 2004, he was named in the FIFA 100 list of Pelé, of the greatest living footballers. In 2007, he became Arsenal's all-time leading goal scorer, a record that still stands till this very day. When Arsenal moved to the Emirates Stadium, they got a statue of Henry outside the stadium, one of only 3 players to receive this honor. In 2010, he was inducted into English football's Hall of Fame. In 2016, France Football, the very magazine that awards the Ballon d'Or, they named him the greatest French player of all time. And let's not forget, other players have never doubted his quality. Wayne Rooney, who was an actual opponent to Henry on the pitch, called him the best player I've ever played against. Jamie Carragher described him as the best player to ever play in the Premier League. Lionel Messi, not one to hyperbole, he said that Henry was the most dominant player I have ever seen. Even Cristiano Ronaldo, who arrived in England as Henry was reaching his peak, admitted, when I came to the Premier League, Henry was the player that everyone talked about. He was the standard. Perhaps the most telling tribute came from Arsene Wenger. He stated, Thierry Henry could take the ball in the middle of the park and score a goal that no one else in the world could ever score. He is the greatest striker to ever play in the Premier League, not just Arsenal. So in years from now, when people take a look back at the incredible career of Thierry Henry, a lot of people will be shocked at the fact that he never quite won the Ballon d'Or, but his legacy is still intact as one of the greatest players to ever grace the pitch. But what do you think? Do you think that Henry was robbed of the Ballon d'Or? Do you think that he should have won it? Or do you think there is another reason that we didn't mention, and that's why he never got the gold? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more footballing content like this. And remember that you can catch us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday over here on the Footy Zone.